Hey guys, Bruce the Budget Aquarist here. Hope you're doing well. Hey, look, I want to talk to you real briefly and put to rest this myth that bubble diffusers do not add oxygen to a fish tank. I don't know where this got started. I'm guessing it's from people who don't uh, like bubble diffusers in fish tanks, and so they say, oh no, it doesn't do anything. It's the surface agitation of the water that does things. So I'm going to dispel this myth right now, and I'm hoping you're going to be honest and pay attention to it. And if you don't believe me, like I said, Google it sometime, the diffusing of water into of oxygen into water, and you can find all kinds of things from places like the American Academy of Physics and things like that that talk about this. But I'm hoping to explain it so people can understand it and see what I'm talking about. Why I don't know why this started, but it's nonsense. So hang tight and let me show you. All right, guys, so first of all, I'm going to do a little drawing here, so I hope you put up with me in the fact that I am definitely not an artist. But first of all, I am not saying that bubble diffusers or bubble wands or whatever are the most effective way to oxygenate your water or anything like that. Basically, though, what I'm saying is that it does, and too many times people now are saying it doesn't. So here's what I want to do. Let's take a look. We'll call this our aquarium, and this is the surface of our water. So we have a filter over here, and the filter is dumping water down into the tank. And as that water hits, or that water coming out of there hits the surface of the water, what happens? It churns it up. It mixes a little tiny bits of air into the water, and that oxygenates the water. Okay, no question about that. That absolutely happens. Now, the problem is that for some reason people think that an air stone, okay, here's my fancy drawing of an air stone, doing this while looking through a camera, so bear with me. But they feel like that an air stone, the only time this oxygen is entering the water is when it comes up here and churns up the water surface, and then this air is mixing in. Well, that's just silly, because what we have here is air mixing in with water, and what we have here is air mixing in with water. And what happens is, as a bubble is in water and it moves through water, it dissolves, okay? It's just like if this were a grain of sugar. Eventually it's going to get a little bit smaller until all the oxygen has dissolved out of the bubble. But of course, obviously, atmospheric bubbles that we pump in from our air pumps are not 100% oxygen. So a lot of it is just simply going to the top. And I don't know if that's where, people said, oh, well, it's not doing anything, because they see, the majority of these bubbles are going up to the top. I don't know if that's what happened. The other thing I hear a lot is people say, oh, well, we have these big blade churning devices that we use on ponds, on big motors, and those churn up the water, and that's what oxygenates it. So if bubblers work, why would we use these? Well, that's obviously because this can be much more effective at moving water and mixing the bubbles in. And everybody who has had bubble stones knows that they do eventually plug up. So if you're doing a commercial thing where you're trying to oxygenate water, like at a water treatment center or something like that, obviously you're going to use the most effective means, and that is would be a motorized type of thing. But does that mean that this is not working? Absolutely not. It certainly doesn't. And another thing I was going to say too is, think about people who have bubble diffusers, okay? Somebody who buys a bubble diffuser for CO2, okay? What does that do? It takes little tiny bubbles, and it releases them out into your tank. And the reason it goes with real little tiny ones is because they dissolve very easy. All right. And our oxygen or our bubbles here, because it's not pure CO2 like this is, they the oxygen does diffuse out of the bubble as it's going up to the top, but it doesn't all go and diffuse because, again, as we said here, it's not all oxygen that's being blown out of there. So again, I'm hoping this lousy drawing makes sense to some people and clarifies something. Because this is a total myth. I don't know who got it started. Again, I'm suggesting it was people who hate bubbles in their fish tank. People say the same thing about big giant aquariums. Oh well, if big giant aquariums, the shed aquarium, why don't they use bubblers if they're so efficient? Well, because they have big giant machines that oxygenate their water. They don't need bubble devices, and that. So. Again, in that particular case, saying that it's more efficient to use a method like something that churns up the water, saying that using that means that bubblers don't add oxygen is simply incorrect. So there you go. Just saying that, guys, doesn't matter how you get that oxygen in contact with your water. If it is moving through the water, through being churned up here, being churned up with this kind of a device, or being churned up with a bubbler, it is passing through your water and it is absolutely dissolving. So thanks for putting up with my crappy drawings, and we'll talk to you later.